up, guys? Thank you so much for being here. So today I'm just going to do a quick video on the American Defense quick detach mount that I have on this AR. I've got my Recon scope mounted with it, and I just want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this mount, and like the cost and weight and just different things like that, and whether I would recommend it. Personally, I really like the little American Defense logo with the eagle there, and then this little American flag where it says made in the USA. I think that looks pretty sick. Removing the mount is pretty dang simple because it is a quick detach mount. That's kind of the main advantage of having this. But the way you do it, you've got these two tabs here, and they each have like a little button in the middle. And so you just you have to push in and then pull on the big one. And then same thing, you push in on the little one and then pull out on the big one while you've got the little one pushed in. And then voila, it just comes right off. So let's start off with the specs, and then I'll talk about what I think of it. So the mount itself is made of 6061 T6 aluminum, which you guys are probably pretty aware of if you buy guns or have bought many gun accessories, because they make a lot of parts out of that stuff. But anyways, it's just a really strong yet somewhat lightweight for how strong it is metal. The mount itself overall weighs about 8.5 ounces, which is pretty dang heavy, but that's because of how robust the mounting system is. If this was just a straight mount where you just screwed it on and that's it, it would probably weigh a lot less. But being that it has all the extra components to make it quick detach, and they wanted to make those components very robust and just like kind of built for any hard use. I mean, this is military stuff right here, this is what a lot of people use, and so it's made for any situation. So because of that, it's going to weigh a lot more. So this lockup system that they use is patented, and that's part of why so many people, I guess, buy American Defense quick detach mounts, is because nobody else can use this, and they claim that it's like the best quick detach mount or whatever setup for like keeping zero. And obviously that's a big deal, because you want to be able to take this thing off and remove it from the gun so you can clean your gun or do whatever, and then you want to be able to put it back on and it's still zeroed exactly where you left it. And so far, in my experience, that's been the case. Now, I'm not saying that nobody else has made a good quick detach mount, but theirs is one of the most well known for being sturdy and reliable and robust, like I've already said a couple times. Another thing that they do a pretty good job of, not that other mounts don't, but it's pretty dang low profile, so you can kind of tell how low this scope is. And let me see if I can get a better angle. But there's not that much space like in here. It's a pretty low profile scope, or a pretty low profile mount, I should say. And that's nice because it keeps you lower to the bore, and it just makes holdovers and everything else like that a lot easier for sighting in your gun and that kind of thing. So there's no question that this mount is excellent at what it's intended to do, which is to be reliable, keep a zero whether you take off the mount or not, and it's very quick to remove and put back on, and it keeps zero, and I can confirm that. Now, like I said, it is really heavy, and that's the biggest downside, especially for somebody like me who's kind of like a smaller guy. I mean, I don't weigh that much. I'm not some big buff dude, and so having a heavier mount, that just adds more weight to the gun in general, and obviously for me, the lighter the better. And I'm sure there's some other dudes out there who don't care about how heavy it is because they're big and strong and it doesn't really matter, an extra 5 ounces or whatever. But if you're putting a couple ounces here, a couple ounces there on your gun, it starts to add up. I'm sure there's plenty of other lightweight dudes out there, or just older guys, or maybe you're just going to be going on a long hike with the gun or that kind of thing where you're carrying it all day, and weight matters, and 5 ounces is a good amount. And the reason I'm saying 5 ounces is because you can get, like, for example, an Aero Precision mount, exact same thing where it's set forward like this for eye relief and that kind of thing. And that one, I believe, is only like 3.25 ounces, and this is 8.5 ounces. So you're talking about a solid 5 ounces. and it's a good amount. But one thing that I just don't really like, or that just kind of makes it slightly more of a pain when you're installing it, is the way these two things come off the side. It would be nice if, like some other mounts, where it has a half circle underneath, and then the top half like is a half circle, and that part comes off, and then the screws go in like this, because it makes it a lot easier when it comes to leveling your scope. Because what you do is you want to put your scope in there, put like a little level on here, and then you want to make sure that it's level left to right. Because obviously if your scope isn't perfectly level this way, then your reticle isn't going to be level when you're looking through it. And if you're trying to use the reticle, like the MOA dashes, to shoot at further distances, it's not going to be on point. And it just makes it a little bit easier if you can just set the scope in on a flat surface, and then you have a level like on here, and then you put the screws in through the top. It just makes it easier. Now you still have to be careful that when you're tightening it down, you're kind of changing from one side to the other and you stay level the entire way. But it's a lot easier than having the side come off, and you have to kind of like hold the scope in there up against one side while you go from the side. It just makes things a little bit more difficult, and it becomes kind of like this complicated dance. But it's obviously doable. It just takes a little bit more time. It's a very minor thing, and it's not like a huge drawback, but that's one little thing. Now, why would you need or want a quick detach mount? Because it's expensive and it weighs more. And so obviously if you don't need a quick detach mount, then you wouldn't really bother getting this one. But obviously the huge advantage is that you can take it on and off quickly. And the reason that's an advantage is, say you've got some nice iron sights like so, where they just flip up, and you want to get to those quickly because your scope broke, or you dropped the gun and it smashed on a rock and you shattered the glass or whatever. There's different reasons why you would want to get it off there quickly and go to your iron sights. Now, if you're not going to war with this thing, or if you're not worried about like some bug out situation or whatever, and you just don't think you're going to need that like quick detach feature, then obviously don't waste the money and don't waste the weight. Now, I'm never going to go to war, and I don't think that there's some looming bug out situation or anything like that. For me, it was more of a cool factor, and I liked the idea of having at least one gun that was kind of like set up and bomb proof for any situation. And that's what this AR is for me. It's my Daniel Defense. It's like highest quality AR you can pretty much buy. Obviously, some of you guys would probably argue that, but in my opinion, they're up there with pretty much anybody else. And I've got these nice battle sights, the backup iron sights, and then I wanted to make this kind of like that bug out gun, even though I don't necessarily think there's a bug out situation coming. I just wanted to have that one gun that could handle it all. But even if you're not really worried about that stuff, kind of like me, and you just like it more for the cool factor, then there's not really any other mount that, in my opinion, is as cool as this when it comes to what it can do and how reliable it is. Although I will say that I have personally thought about like actually getting an Aero Precision mount because they are so much more lightweight, and having a 16-inch barrel that's government profile barrel, which is what this gun has, it makes it not very light. It's not heavy by any means. It's still just an AR. It's not like some big 308 rifle or anything like that, but it's heavier than it could be. Now, I still don't have an issue like shooting it, but obviously always having a more lightweight gun makes it more controllable, which makes you more stable and more accurate and less fatigued and that kind of thing. But like I said, there's a lot of ups and downs to this, mostly ups, and I highly recommend it if you're not worried about the extra 5 ounces, because for some people, it's not an issue at all. Now, the only other negative thing would be the price, because it's not cheap. Now, a lot of good mounts aren't cheap though. You'd be surprised at how expensive they can get. So this is not the most expensive by any means, but it's certainly up there. This one, I believe the MSRP is $195, which is pretty dang expensive because after tax, you're going to be over $200. But I have recently seen this mount on Amazon for $179.99, so at least you're saving some there. So if you're gonna get it, that's where I would recommend, and I'll put a link in the description of this video. That way, if you're interested, you can just go straight from there and pick it up for yourself, because it is a really, really good mount. I can't stress that enough. Like I did mention, it's a little heavy and it's a bit expensive, but other than that, that's literally the only drawbacks, is it's a little heavy and it's expensive. But it's super reliable, super tough, it'll withstand anything. It retains a zero after you take it off and put it back on. So it's definitely a very good mount and I highly recommend it. Well guys, I just wanted to give you my opinion on the mount and what I thought of it based off my own personal use. And I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can hit the like button, I would really appreciate that. And if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe, because I do a lot of videos on like guns and gear and backpack reviews and that kind of thing. So if you're into that, hit the like button. But other than that, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.